Hey gang, welcome back to Mondays at the Museum. I'm Carrie and I'm here at the Anna Bemis Palmer Museum in York, Nebraska. So we're going to be continuing on our adventures with Anna this week, and we're going to talk about the Mayflower Society, of which Anna was a member. So what is the Mayflower Society? Well, it's basically a group of people who are able to tie to some sort of ancestor that was specifically on the Mayflower ship that came over in 1620. So the history of the Mayflower Society is really interesting. It says it was established in New York City on December 22nd, 1894, specifically for people that could tie their ancestry to the Mayflower. This took place around the centennial. People around the centennial, like we talked about last week with the DAR, they were really, really big into celebrating patriotism and basically the heritage of the United States. And the group came around then to specifically honor those who were on the ship. And after that, New York City started in 1894. It says 3 more states, which was Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Pennsylvania, all joined in 1896. And once they had those 4 different states, 27 delegates came together, and it says that they formed a general society of the Mayflower descendants, and that was January 12th, 1897. So it started out New York City, done those 4, but today it says society is made up of 54 member societies, and so it's not just states anymore, they changed to member societies. And they represent all 50 states plus the District of Columbia, Canada, Europe, and Australia. Currently, it boasts a membership of over 31,000 members, but it says that in their history, they've had over 100,000 members, which is a really big deal because you're linking to just basically those people limited to being on that Mayflower ship. So the ancestors, and just a big boom on from them, the amount of people that are now linked to that ship is just crazy. So the society themselves, they're governed by a general congress. There's also a board of assistants and an executive committee. Each member society has their own constitution and bylaws, and I guess in order to join the general society, you have to go through your member society, like your local one. They do have a headquarters in Plymouth, Massachusetts, and there are, I guess, 20 plus staffers there that do day-to-day workshop there, and there's a bunch of genealogy involved with their headquarters, which is really neat. So the Nebraska Society specifically was founded in 1923, and it says it has about 275 members. They live in Nebraska, across the country, and around the world. The Nebraska Society holds 2 annual events. There's a spring meeting in April, and then there's a Thanksgiving dinner thing that takes place the Sunday prior to Thanksgiving. So I don't know how much you know about the Mayflower itself and why it's so important to our nation's history, but basically in 1620, a group of 102 men, women, and children sailed across the Atlantic Ocean on the Mayflower. They were trying to get religious and civil freedom from the current rulers that they were having. And the Pilgrims landed at Plymouth Harbor, and that established basically the first permanent European settlement in New England here. It says only half of the people on that ship survived the first difficult winter, and it's been 403 years from when they landed, and of just those few survivors, there are now millions of descendants specifically from that ship, which is just crazy. So it says, in addition to bringing their value and spirit of adventure with them to the New World, the Pilgrims created a heritage of liberty and law by drafting a document of self-government, which they called the Mayflower Compact. And people are saying that that is basically like an early version of the Constitution. So jumping back to the society, they do have a website with a lot of information about them, which is where I'm getting most of this information, and it lists their mission statement. So the mission statement says, the General Society of Mayflower Descendants is committed to research on the lineal descent of the Mayflower Pilgrims and education about the Pilgrims who traveled aboard the Mayflower in 1620. The Society provides education and understanding of why the Mayflower Pilgrims were important, how they shaped Western civilization, and what their 1620 voyage means today and its impact on the world. So, for those of you interested in joining, you do have to be able to prove lineage to somebody that was on that ship, which is a lot of genealogy research, so go to your local library, they're wonderful. You do have to have a direct tie, so it can't be like the sibling of someone that was on the ship. You have to tie to the person on the ship. There are some fees involved in the application process, and you do have to be 18 or older to officially apply. So they are a nonprofit organization, and like I said, they have a huge genealogy research center that's out of that Plymouth headquarters, and it says they publish the silver books which trace descendants of the Mayflower Pilgrims. So this week I'm going to be talking more about specifically their organization and the Mayflower and Anna's tie to that. So keep an eye out for posts this week specifically about Anna's link to it and about the history of organization and some local stuff that they're doing, which is really neat. And I will see you next week.